Hello, my name is Sarah Cover, and I'm one of the program managers with Heart Math Tutoring. Let's have some fun with math. Today, we're going to learn how to play the serial game, which is from our counting notebook, and the purpose of this activity is to practice telling how many. For this activity, you will need a sheet of paper, a pencil or a pen, 40 either pieces of cereal or small objects that you can count, such as dried beans, M&Ms, or even beads, such as I'll be using, a bowl, plus number cards up to 30. And I just made these by writing numbers on little sheets of paper, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So just little squares that I wrote 1 through 30 on, because this will tell us how many we'll need to count. So please take a moment to pause the video and gather your materials, and I'll meet you back here. Welcome back. We are now going to learn how to play the serial game. So I have all my materials here. I have my beads that I'm going to pretend are my cereal pieces, my bowl so I can keep track of my beads, as well as those number cards that I had made. And they go up to 30, and I have them all shuffled here so they're not in any particular order. And I'm going to use them by having them flipped over. So I need to do one more thing to get myself ready to play the game, and that is to create a recording sheet so I can keep track of the numbers I count, and then what I'm going to do is add one more, so I want to be able to keep track of that as well. So that means I'm going to create 2 columns. So the first one I'm going to label just bowl, B-O-W-L, because that's how many beads I'm going to be putting into the bowl when I first turn over a card. I'll make a second column, and so after I count out my number, I'm going to be adding one more and determining how many that is. So I'm going to label this column 1 more. Then I will label it here. I also know I'm going to play this 5 times, so I'll just go ahead and label and number my 5 turns, just so I can keep track of where I am as I'm playing. All right. So my recording sheet is finished, so I'm going to put that to the side while I count out my beads. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is flip a card. So here I have 14, so I'm going to count and place 14 beads into my bowl. And I'm going to make sure to practice safe counting so that I know I'm only counting 1 bead at a time and I don't skip any numbers or double count any beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, all done. So I have 14 beads in my bowl right here. And so now I'm going to write that on my recording sheet. So my first turn was 14. I counted 14, so it means I now have 14 beads in my bowl. And now I want to know how many I will have if I add one more. So I'm going to add one more bead. How many are in my bowl now? Well, I know that numbers follow one another, and so the number after 14 is 15. So that means I have 15 beads in my bowl. So I'm going to write that in my one more column, 15. Because I started with 14, I added one more, so now I have 15. However, I don't have a number line to check my work, so I'm going to recount what's in my bowl just to be sure that this is correct. And this will also give me the opportunity to empty my bowl and get it ready for my next turn. So check my work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, so I was correct, and 1 more than 14 is 15. And you can go ahead and check your work as well if after you add one more, you're unsure if it's correct or not. All right, so I'm going to continue practicing counting out these numbers and adding one more. And so for each turn, I'll flip over a different card and count out that number of beads and put it into the bowl, and then adding one more. So I've played once. I'll go ahead and finish up my turns. You go ahead and play 5 times, and then I'll meet you back here. Welcome back. So I finished practicing counting out 5 bowls and adding one more to each one. And now for part 2 of this activity, I'm going to practice counting and telling what one less is. So one less is just meaning one smaller. So I'll be removing a bead from each bowl I count out. And as you can see, I also made a new recording sheet since I'm going to be keeping track of a new set of numbers. Okay. But just as before, I'm going to turn over cards, and then the first part I'm going to count out whatever number that is. Right, so I turn over 19, so now I'm going to add 19 beads to my bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, so now I have 19 beads in my bowl. So on my recording sheet, I'm going to write 19 next to number 1, because this is the first bowl in this part that I'm working on. And now I'm going to think about one less, so one smaller than 19. So if I remove a bead from this bowl, how many beads are left? Well, I know it can't be 20, because that would mean I had one more. 19, 20. And so since I'm looking for now what comes before 19, because that would be one less than 19. Well, I know that the number that comes before 19 is 18. So I should have 18 pieces of cereal in my bowl. However, before I write it down right here, I'm going to check my work just as I did before, just so I can feel confident in my answer. So I think that one less than 19 is 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, so I was correct. So now I'm going to put 18 in the one less line in the column. If it ever is tricky for you to figure out what one less is, you could also find a friendly number and start counting up from there. For example, to figure out one less than 19, you could start at 15 and go 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and that will help you see that 18 was before 19, and that can especially be helpful when you get to larger numbers. All right, so I'm going to finish out my 5 turns, doing the same as we did before and flipping a card over, counting out that number of beads into the bowl, and this time removing one and determining one less. And you're going to play 5 times as well, and I'll see you after that. How did it go? Did you practice counting and stating one less? It was some really great practice for me. Sometimes I knew right away what one less was than the other number, and for some numbers I had to find a friendly number and count up from there to determine one less, because it was just a little bit easier for me that way. And remember, when playing the cereal game, count carefully using safe counting to make sure you're putting the correct number of beads into the bowl. And also remember that one more is the number that comes after the number you're counting, and one less is the number that came before the number you were counting. You can also make this a 2-player activity and play it with a parent, sibling, or friend. You can each use your own objects in your own bowl, and you will take turns flipping over cards, counting out your objects and putting them in the bowl and stating either one more or one less. Thank you for following along. I hope you enjoyed playing the cereal game. If you have any questions or for additional support, please check out the resources page seen here.